So this is just going to be a quick video on how to do the QT-Pie strategy, and we have an example that we're going to go through. So you first have to remember what the steps are. So you've got Q, which is for the question. You read the question first and you find those keywords and make sure that any ideas that you need to be looking for, you highlight or note those, so that way when you're reading, you do in step 2, you keep those ideas in mind. Then you use that evidence in the third step, pi, to prove your answer, so that way you know you have the correct answer. And this can be used in English class, it can be used in any other class as well, even in life. Anytime that you have to base it on other information like text, then this is something that you can do to make sure that you cover what the question is asking you directly, as well as making sure that you get the answer from what's provided to you, so that way your answer is based solely on that information and not just what you assume. So to start off with, we use the Q, so that means that we go to the question first, which is not something that we tend to do, right? We just jump right in and start reading, and then you look at the question, and then you get all confused. So first look at the question that's being asked. So, which textual evidence supports the inference that the passage's unstated central idea is Harriet is dedicated to her mother's well-being? And so we know it's based on textual evidence. That's not really important per se, but what we're looking for as we're reading, what we're trying to answer, we say, okay, central idea, that's important, right? And so we make a note of it. We'd say central idea of what? And they say that it's Harriet's is dedicated to her mother's well-being. And if I look at this, I don't have to have the to her, but it just kind of helps me to remember what that is. So those are the most important key words or ideas that the question is asking. So then I take that, I think about it as I'm reading, and anytime anything comes up that relates to the fact that Harriet is dedicated to her mother's well-being, then I know that is going to be part of the answer. Okay? So I'm just going to put it right down below it. So Harriet gets up early each morning to cook a hot breakfast for her mother. Ooh, so she cooks for her mother. That's about her well-being, right? Cooks for her mother every morning, who is confined to a wheelchair. Not exactly as important about the mother's well-being at this point. Afterwards, Harriet packs a lunch and heads to school for the day. So that's about her, not her mother, so we can move forward. At her lunch break, she texts her mother to see how she is doing. So at lunch, text to check on her mother, checking in on her well-being. Harriet stays after school to practice with the debate team, but she is home by 5 o'clock, eager to find ways to make her mother more comfortable. So she comes home at 5 and works to make her mother comfortable. All right, so that's all of the text. Now I've got all these pieces. These 3 here are my evidence that I can use to help in my answer. Okay, and so this one you have to actually type it out. It's not a multiple choice kind of thing. So always start by restating the question itself. And we've already got those keywords here to help us to restate the question. So restate question before answering. So if I'm doing that, then I'd say the central idea of Harriet being dedicated to her mother's well-being is supported by the fact that she cooks her mother's breakfast every morning. She also texts at lunchtime to check in on her mother when she is at school. Lastly, she comes home at 5 eager, note how I'm quoting it, eager to make her mother comfortable, end quote. Okay, and so this is my answer. I used the evidence that I found and restated most of it in my own words. I used one quote from the text because I thought that that one shows exactly that she's eager, so she's definitely into the well-being of her mother. So we can use quoted evidence, but you got to make sure you use the quotations around it. And then we restated in our own words the other pieces of evidence that we found. So easy breezy. So just remember the 3 steps. Q, question, read it first, find the keywords and ideas. T, then read the text, keeping in mind those keywords and ideas. Pi, prove your answer using that inferred evidence that you found within the text. So hopefully this helps you out. If you have any further questions, always reach out.